The time has come to once again answer computing's most logical question.
Which cores work more? This is Iron Chip AMD.
An accelerated processing tradition follows the boot of AMD rigs. We are wired up with the establishment of our very own Benchmark Stadium, where our AMD test driver has brought together empowering technology of past and present. It is here where the best innovations from AMD meet and face the ultimate test bench challenge.
Greetings! Welcome to Benchmark Stadium. This is Iron Chip AMD. I am your host for this AMD test drive and competition where you will see one-on-one benchmark competitions between an Iron Chip and various challengers. I'd like to thank AMD for providing today's Iron Chip. Now, on with the contests.
In mere moments, one challenger will be measured against our Iron Chip, which waits to identify our secret benchmark and output calculational work here at Benchmark Stadium. Today we look at K5 PR200 processor, which operates at 133 MHz. Now, the curious fact is that this part was never officially announced by AMD, probably because this processor was the end of the K5 line, and it was released at about the same time as the new K6 processors. Now K5 PR200 has come to Benchmark Stadium to battle one of the test driver's Iron Chips, A10 6800K Richland. This AMD test driver welcomes K5 PR200.
K5, welcome. You are the fastest of the K5 family, and yet your part was never officially launched. Will your stealth prove your claim to fame? Iron Chip A10. You are called Richland. Will you dash to the cash? Or will your riches be surrendered to the golden ship? Very good. But there is one more variable to this battle. Our secret benchmark. The scripts on which our chips will execute their digital instructions. Today's secret benchmark is Super Pie! So now, AMD fans, with power to the execution cores and valid and clean bits in the data cache lines, I say unto you, in the words of Jerry Sanders, I can die, but I can't fail!
Super Pie is on here at Benchmark Stadium. We see here the challenger starting, and the processor is K5 PR200. And speaking of the challenger, what is a K5? Well, K5 is a Pentium class 32-bit processor. It was packaged to use socket 5 or socket 7 motherboards. You're seeing here a socket 7 motherboard. And this was during the era back when AMD, Intel, Cyrix, IBM, a bunch of others all used the same platform. I know, scary, isn't it, kids? You see here the video card being installed. Yes, that is a Radeon. Anyway, K5 has the distinction of being the first x86 processor that AMD designed in-house, and as such it's an important bit of AMD's history. You see, earlier x86 processors were based on licensed or reversed engineered designs from AMD's competition. So the K5 architectural design, it was ambitious, with several features that collectively improved its performance to clock speed ratio over earlier designs and over its competition. Superscalar architecture with out-of-order speculative execution. It decodes x86 instructions, then internally translates them into a RISC-like micro-instructions, and then executes them on a 6-pipeline internal core. And it has 16 kilobytes of 4-way set associative L1. And it looks like we're getting ready to fire this puppy up. K5 was planned for release in 1995 at target speeds of 100 to 120 MHz, which seemed reasonable given that AMD launched 486 processors at 120 to 133 MHz during 1995. Problems with testing the new design and compatibility with x86 software delayed launch to March 1996, and problems adopting the new design to the 350 nanometer manufacturing process cut the initial launch speeds to just 75 and 90 megahertz. But later, in 1996, a slight revision to the core design allowed speeds up to 116 megahertz and improved performance. Due to their advanced internal architecture, K5 processors use model numbers with a performance rating, which attempts to represent the performance relative to a Pentium processor.
AMD K5 PR200. Clocked at 133 megahertz. This is SuperPi. Calculating 1 million digits.
Now initially, integer performance was about equal to a Pentium at equal clock speeds, and thus you had 75, 90, and 100 megahertz K5 chips that had PR75, PR90, and PR100 models. But after the core design revision, the performance improved relative to the Pentium, and thus now you had 90, 100, and 116 megahertz chips, but with PR120, 150, and 166 model numbers. At launch, the K5 PR90's flagship competition was the Intel Pentium 166 and the Cyrix 6x86 P166, which both easily outperform a K5 at only 90 MHz. Thus, for much of its life, K5 was positioned as a low-cost alternative in the market. Well, as you see us churning through the SuperPi benchmark, let's turn our attention to SuperPi. SuperPi. So, along the favorite of overclockers of yesteryear, SuperPi calculates the value of pi with precision to a specified number of digits. We chose 1 million, using the Gauss-Legendre algorithm. It primarily makes use of the x87 floating point instruction set, which is now deprecated. The benchmark is also not multi-threaded, and so it will only test the performance of a single core, and that means then that our Iron chip will calculate with 3 of its 4 cores unable to compete. Perhaps a significant disadvantage? We will have to see. And remember also that x87 instructions are going to be emulated in the Iron chip because those instruction sets will long ago deprecated. So, will the older chip using the x87 instruction set natively perform better, or will the Iron chip prevail? That is precisely the question in which we are interested, and we shall have an answer today here in Benchmark Stadium.
And the Super Pi contest is over for K5 PR200. 1 million digits of pi calculated in 22 minutes 51 seconds. So 22 minutes 51 seconds will be the time to beat.
And now the Iron Chip has a go at Super Pi. So you're looking here at the AMD test driver system sent to Benchmark Stadium by AMD, and it consists of the A10 Iron Chip processor. It also consists of this fractal design case and power supply, some Radeon memory, and an SSD, and it's a very nice setup. So you're seeing here a bit of setup of that system. Well, let's talk a little bit about our Iron Chip. Our Iron Chip today is the A10 6800K. It's the top of the third generation of A-series APU. That's Accelerated Processing Unit, and it's nicknamed Richland. AMD's A-series is a subset of the Family 15 of 64-bit processors that include earlier varieties such as the Zambezi, Vishera, and Trinity chips, and the more recent Kaveri. Architecturally, Richland contains two piledriver processor modules, an integrated DDR3 2133 memory, and Radeon HD 8000 series graphics on top. Each of those two modules contain two tightly coupled x86 out-of-the-board processing cores. The cores in a module share the early pipeline stages, the floating point units, and the L2 cache. These four processor cores operate at 4100 MHz max and up to 4400 MHz with turbo. However, for the purposes of Battle Super Pi, only one core will be used in this battle. Desktop Richland uses socket FM2 and FM2 Plus motherboards. The A-series offer mid-range execution and graphics performance combined at a mid-range price. Thus, A-series is positioned as a mid-range part in the market, as you might expect, and it's suitable for everyday usage computers.
This is AMD A10 6800K Richland. Maximum clock 4100 MHz. Boost clock 4400 MHz. Going to calculate pi to 1 million places. 1 million. Ready to begin. And go.
So now with the benchmarking officially underway, you see on screen the results of the K5 PR200's benchmark run for Super Pi. So that is the number to beat. And so as we settle in here, as the benchmark proceeds, we'll be keeping an eye on that particular number.
And the competition is over. A10 6800K, the Iron Chip, complete Super Pi, 1 million places of pi is calculated in the span of 22 seconds. 22 seconds.
And so the benchmarking has come to an end, and the results have been tabulated. You can see them right up there on the screen. Now, it would seem pretty obvious to me which way the verdict is going to roll in this particular decision, but you never know what the chairman has in mind. Sometimes intangibles can come into play, perhaps like when a bit gets randomly flipped, or like, personality. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll find out pretty soon. Let's get up to the chairman and await his verdict.
Today, two champions met in Battle Super Pie here in Benchmark Stadium. K5 PR200, Iron Chip A10. The benchmarks have been totaled, and the winner is Iron Chip A10.